Hello. Happy Tuesday. Hello to everyone out there. This is my first time going live. You are here with me, the Healing Home podcast. I'm your host, Michelle, and I'm so freaking excited for this. And it's been a long time coming. I've been toying with the idea of having my own show for a while now, and this feels like the right time. So I'm super excited for everyone to be here and just to join me for this for tonight. So here we go. First time. Woo! So thanks for everyone who's already been here saying hello. Appreciate it. I'm really stoked just to share what I've got going on and yeah, so I'm gonna be, maybe fumbling a little bit over some of this stuff, but I feel like I have a pretty good grip on stuff. And so hello to everyone. Thank you for being here. Cheers, Chance. And yes, so this is just my way of being able to connect with more people who are, doing their thing, talking the talk and walking the walk. It's one of the things I'm super just very interested in. I'm doing trying to do the same thing, and it is just glorious to be able to connect with a bunch of people, and I feel like this is one of the best ways to do it. And I am very interested in just getting to know people better, getting to know their stories, learning their journeys, hearing about what they're doing in their own way of healing. So I'm really excited to be talking to more herbalists, healers, people who are just on the path, alchemists, gardeners, people of nature, anyone in general who is just trying to find out who they are and who are doing the work to get there. I feel like that's been my journey so far. It's something I continue to do because I think that it is something that we have to do until the day we die. And I think even after we die, we have more work that is going to come to us even at that point. So, just to get started, wanted to give you guys a few updates of what's going on with me. We have basically winterized the property. The winter is coming soon. The mountain is misty almost every day now because the winter is on its way. So that's been fun. The gardens are pretty much all winterized. All the pipes outside are covered so they don't freeze when we start to get cold weather. I just finished making a bunch of soap, so I'm gonna be restocked for soap coming up here soon. And been working on a project with my friend Vanessa, who's a massage therapist. So I've been making a special blend, a CBD blend for her that she can use at her practice. So I was doing that this week. Sorry. And yeah, and preparing for this. So here here I am, man. And yes, Chance, great point. Sagittarius, that was my whole goal with this, because this is just a great time. We just came out of Scorpio. Sagittarius is very just energetic. It's adventurous. It wants to go out and apply the lessons of Scorpio that they learned. So the introspection that was happening during Scorpio, now we can come out into the Sagittarius time and kind of try and apply all that stuff that maybe came up, and so that we can just transcend and keep on climbing. So that was basically a very strategic choice of mine to be doing this. And so one of the things that I'm going to do today is talk about a recap of thoughts that I had after the episode I was on, the Vibrant with Kyle and Chance and Gabe and my man Mario. We had a lovely conversation about Scorpio and the herbs of Scorpio season and how you can apply certain herbs to help some of the issues that might come up during Scorpio season. So I've had a couple more thoughts specifically with the plant Calendula. And so I'm going to go into a little bit more detail with Calendula today. And then, in honor of Sagittarius and Jupiter, we're going to talk about Reishi mushroom. And I see that family fungi is in here. So if anyone out there is wanting to learn how to grow their own mushrooms, you can contact them because they specialize in their own making of their own elixirs and things like that. But I know that they can also supply people with instructions and supplies to grow their own medicinal mushrooms. So shout out to those guys because they're doing some good work over there too. So with all of that said, uh one last thing, have to thank my man, Mario. He is one of the reasons why I'm behind this screen right now. He's been one of my biggest supporters, cheerleaders through this whole thing. He's helped me to learn the ways of the tech world a little bit better. He always designs all my logos, and all the graphics you see are always they come from him. So with my input, he also just like kind of goes off into his own world and is able to design these beautiful things. And so thank you. Thank you, babe. And I just really appreciate all your help and your support. And so anytime you guys see anything that is well designed, know that it has Mario Juju all over it. And that's his little nod just in his design world and expressing himself through his art. So I have a slideshow for you guys because I really wanted to be able to get into this and still show you guys some photos. And so let's just get into it. Oh, what's up, Cozy Crone? Hello. So let's just get into it. I have to not get distracted by the by the chat. I have to remind myself of that. So all right. So, right off the bat, for some of you who listened to the Vibrant, some of this may be a recap, but I do have more that I did go into with this plant. Now, this plant really has no relationship to Jupiter or Sagittarius in any way, besides the fact that it can actually be like a mood enhancer and it can help elevate the mood and also be helpful for things like depression and sadness because of its connection to the sun. And sometimes the Sagittarius energy, from what I've researched and stuff, because it's so intense and it's always just this ongoing thing, always adventuring, always seeking, that kind of stuff can actually, it can put you in a place of sadness sometimes because you might be seeking, and you maybe are constantly seeking and you're not finding, and that could turn into something more like just a feeling of sadness. And calendula could be good for that. But like I said, I just wanted to recap some of the things that I talked about in Vibrant because I really enjoyed our conversation. And one of the goals with this project is just to help other people find healing remedies for the things that are ailing them, whether that be physical, emotional, spiritual, all of the above. That is one of the things that I'm really interested in. And so we talked a lot about sexual health, reproductive organs of male and female. And it is seriously such a key to opening a door to just leveling your game up if you are able to kind of tap into the side of yourself and realize the importance of our sexuality and to be able to heal the things that maybe hang us up or we've experienced that we feel just like are stifling. This is one of my areas of work that I'm really interested in. So long story short, that's why I'm back here on this tip with Calendula. And shout out to Chance for having us on because it was a great episode and I really enjoyed it. So, one of the things that calendula is really well known for is its ability to stimulate the lymphatic system. Now, it's a gentle stimulation when you're using calendula, but it really basically gets the fluids moving. So, if you are having any stagnation, specifically in the pelvic region, specifically for women, this is the herb for you. And because it's astringent, it will actually pull tissues together. And so it's really good for skin repair, but it's also good for the repair of all soft tissues of the body, specifically any vaginal areas, internal, external. It's just super healing to that, and specifically the cervix, very healing to the cervix. And if you look at the photo I have on the slide, and you can see the center flower head that has the seed pods, the green seed pods. It looks like a cervix to me. It straight up looks like a donut. And so that goes into the doctrine of signatures. And I think that the flower itself even has a kind of like a cervical property to it. And I just think it's another thing that points to the ability it has to heal this. Now, I've had personal experience doing this using herbal suppositories, and for those who aren't familiar with a suppository, it's usually shaped like a pill, and it's typically made out of cocoa butter and shea butter because those are harder oils when they're cooled at room temperature. So you would take the butters and you melt them down, and then you can infuse herbs into them, and I've infused calendula and St. John's wort into a suppository formula, and you insert that into your vaginally or anally, and it is really healing. And the calendula really brought me a lot of relief because one of the things that it's really great for is reducing inflammation. And one of the things that I know I will be talking about multiple times on this podcast is the fact that a lot of times when we're having issues, specifically with the sexual organs, it always has to do with inflammation. And that typically is the case for any ailment. But I've found that, even in alternative ways of thinking about what even like an STD is, specifically something like HPV, a lot of people on the alternative side say that it's literally just inflammation and it's not actually like a virus. It's more of an inflammation because there are so many things that have been inside. Now, if that makes sense to you, it sure makes sense to me when I heard this. Um, it makes a lot of sense because when we're inflamed, that's when disease can really spread. And so that's one of the things that I really wanted to stress, and I didn't really get a chance to really talk about that on Vibrant. And so that was just one of the things that I wanted to talk about because we did talk about holding tension in certain parts of our body, and that's usually like a subconscious thing. So if you're holding tension somewhere, there may be something subconsciously that you're holding on to that is bothering you, that is a trauma that you haven't processed. And then that comes out on the physical level in the body. So, with all that said, hopefully that didn't make anybody too uncomfortable. But it's just part of life, and I think that it's really important to look at these things from different angles and not get so narrow-minded into the allopathic way of thinking about how and why something that's unsettling within us appears, right? So the other thing with calendula is it's an emmenagogue, which means it brings heat to the female reproductive organs, the pelvis, and it helps with reducing cramping. It just helps to bring the blood flow. So if you're having like a sluggish period or your period's not coming on as when it should, calendula can actually kickstart that and actually bring it on, and it can rebalance your cycle if it's out of whack. And one of the things that Gabriel had brought up on Vibrant was he noticed that calendula has basically is almost calendar. And we talked about how, you know, it could be something having to do with being able to help regulate a woman's cycle. I don't know, but it's something interesting that I really liked his point. And one of the other things too here, if you look at the leaves of this plant, they have when you see them in person and when you actually feel them, they have kind of like a floppy, almost soft, spongy feel to them. There's a lot of moisture in the leaf of calendula, and so this plant is actually ruled by the element of water and the planet of the sun, or the star of of the sun. And so the water and sun correspondences work really well together because one of the things I like to think of when I think of calendula is it brings you the warmth of the sun and the flow of a mountain stream. So that's something that you can think of. It will warm the body, but it will move the fluids. And it can actually just like be really cleansing and flushing. So it's one of the beauties of this plant. So, here, more on the energetic level of this medicine, it's a really great ally for depression, lack of confidence, and working with the solar plexus. I mean, from the color of it, you can see the attachment to the solar plexus. But the energy of the sun is what can break up the feelings of depression and sadness and the lack of confidence. And that is all about solar plexus chakra. So if you're feeling unconfident and you're not being able to stand in your power, maybe you've been going through something that you just feel like you're dragging your feet a little bit. Calendula is really great for that on an energetic level because it will just like bring that energy that the sun brings. We all know what it feels like when we get like the first really great bursts of sunshine after a long winter. There's nothing like it, right? And you go out there and you're just like, "Oh my god, the sun." And we all have heard so many times how healing the sun is and how crucial it is for just our being and our being here in the 3D in general. And so when you're taking plants that are ruled by the sun, you're getting that same energy. And I would always recommend, if somebody is wanting to work with it on that level, to be taking it in small doses and just seeing small doses, and then you can like build up as you go, because the small doses actually can be more potent than big doses. Now, this remedy pairs very well with cannabis. I use it a lot with cannabis, specifically in salves and creams when you're dealing with somebody who might have a lot of inflammation or pain. This is a great one, specifically if you're trying to heal scars, maybe from like a surgery or something like that. Calendula and cannabis together is freaking amazing with that stuff. Both cannabis and calendula are very resinous. Actually, I'd say cannabis is much stickier than calendula, but when you harvest fresh calendula blossoms, your fingers are very sticky. So it has a very resinous, like warm smell to it too. And I have heard Kyle of Tippy Canoe Herbs talk about using the resin of calendula. Either it was in his incense or he was experimenting with some sort of scent with calendula. And I thought that was brilliant because you don't hear a lot of people using calendula as a resin, but or at least like a resinous substance that you could use in like an incense. But brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So this is one of my favorite parts of this plant, or just this presentation, but talking about the three philosophical principles of alchemy. And that is basically the concept of sulfur, mercury, and salt. And so sulfur being the soul, and mercury being the mind or the life force, and then the salt being the body. And so this is not my area of expertise by any means, and so I'm still learning, but I really wanted to bring this up because calendula is oftentimes associated with sulfur because it's warm and it has like a pungency to it, and it's stimulating. It's stimulating to the whole system. And so I wanted to definitely bring that up. And the three philosophical principles, they also are linked to things in Ayurveda, like the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha constitutions. And then even from like a scientific elemental thing, you have, a liquid, solid, and gas. They're also connected to the signs of the zodiac, the cardinal, mutable, and fixed. So you see this as a theme throughout many things in life. And I think when we can apply these things, these are the ingredients for the inner alchemy, I believe, so that we can transform and transcend and then help others do the same. And so all the plants have some sort of association with them on this level. And I have to do a shout out to the School of Evolutionary Herbalism. If you are interested in more of the esoteric side of herbs, but also the medicinal side, Saja Popham and his wife Whitney are really great resources. I've been learning from them for many years, and he is a brilliant person that just can put all this stuff together. He has like correspondences with the alchemical tradition and the Kabbalistic tree of life. He goes into corresponding herbs with the tarot cards, and he's just one of those people where he just is like, wow, just a wealth of information. So I had to shout them out because I actually took some like inspiration for this section of the presentation from some of the work that they've done. And they're just super great, and I really enjoy I've always enjoyed everything they put out. So, that I think, is what I wanted to talk about with calendula. I do have some notes here. I just wanna double check. Um, yeah, so, okay, mucilage, which is basically like, it creates sort of like a slimy substance when it is wet or it's made into a tea or something like that. So that's where the skin healing properties come from. This also, though, crosses over for internal organs as well. So intestines, stomach, leaky gut, which I'm on the fence about leaky gut if that's like actually what's going on or if again it's just literally inflammation in the gut from abuse, years of abuse. But calendula is very very famous for being able to help people with serious stomach issues, even ulcers. Calendula can help people with that. So that has all to do too with that astringency that it has and how it can bring tissues back together and repair them very very well. Another last thing, this herb is best for the second and the third chakras, kind of like what I was talking about with the solar plexus. So it's associated with fire and water, and that's where that chakra association comes from. So yeah, just think it's so beautiful. It's like a symphony. Once you start looking at all this stuff, it's all connected. It's all interconnected, and it's really cool. What's up, Jenny B? Thank you for coming and saying hello. Oh, and Mercury or Mercury Mill, allergic to calendula. Oh, well, yep, we all got our something, right? And yeah, Neosporin salve with calendula, very good. Yeah, I put it into my antifungal salve and it really boosts that up. So that's a good tip. Yeah, wound healing, calendula is your lady. Yep, silky smooth flowers. That's right. Yeah, the smell is awesome. It's so like you can almost smell the sun in it. You smell the warmth. It's really cool. All right. So here we are. Reishi. Oh, Reishi. I love you. I always have. I always will. I loved you from the moment I set my eyes on you. Seriously. I love this mushroom so freaking much. I have a very deep connection to this mushroom. Again, we're talking about Reishi today because it is the first day of Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter in the tropical system, by the way. So that rulership of Jupiter crosses over to the Reishi. Some people associate reishi with the sun, which I find is very fitting as well because it has that same radiance that Jupiter brings too. And if you just look at the reishi, it's so radiant. And look at how it radiates from the stump it's growing on, and then the layers of colors that come. And it's so fascinating to see this mushroom grow as well. And this is just it's actually one of the first medicinal mushrooms that we went out and harvested ourselves a handful of years ago. It was the first time I'd actually really went out and harvested it, and it was beautiful. And we just found a ton of them, and they grow really well out here. Now, the thing with reishi too is that there's about 16 species of reishi in North America, and they range from different areas in the country. So the one that you're looking at right here is Ganoderma oregonense. Okay, now that is West Coast reishi. So you will find this type of reishi, I believe, in parts of California, probably Northern California, where it's a little bit more temperate, all the way up into Canada. So this reishi is really a lot smoother than some of the other ones. It has like a puffier feeling to it almost when it's fresh. It does. It looks like this little like dessert almost coming out of the tree it's growing on. It's really cool. Now it's a perennial fungi, so it will distribute its spores, which you can kind of see when you look at this one towards the back, closer to the stem of the mushroom, how it looks a little dusty. That's actually the spores of the mushroom. And it will distribute those spores, and so it will come back every single year. Yes. Okay. So just talking a little bit more about the Jupiter stuff, the expansiveness, the abundance of Jupiter, higher wisdom. you're talking a lot of energy is moving with Sagittarius. I always just think of, the not the guy, but, I can't think the centaur on the he's got the bow and arrow, and he's going for it, right? He's, like, ready to shoot his arrow, and I feel like the reishi really, it's one of those mushrooms that helps you build up your vitality, build up your energy, restore all your energy systems so that you can release that arrow, and that's one of the beautiful things about the reishi. Um so Sagittarius, mutable fire. So it's taking us from fall into winter. So it's like preparing us for that change, right? So we're going from like the decline of all the plants and all the life that's going on. And here comes Sagittarius to just bring us in, right? And it's really beautiful because then the reishi, when you're looking at it from that perspective, it can prepare our immune system and our vital life force for the winter. Because we all know when the winter comes, things get a little tougher sometimes. Our bodies, we start to get a little bit more, slowed down, stagnant. And so reishi can be a good one to just prepare us for that time. What's up, Kyle? Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here. And what's up, Rel? Hello, hello. So yes, back to this. All right, remembering to like watch the chat. Don't watch the chat. Oh my goodness, don't get distracted. Um, all right, so the Sagittarius also rules the thighs and the base of the spine. It also rules the adrenals. So just back to what I was saying with the building up of the vital force is what the reishi is going to help us do. It's an adaptogen. So, an adaptogen is basically an herb or a plant that will help reduce the stress on the organ systems, and it will help us basically adapt. So, it can help you level out a little bit. If you're having something, if maybe you're just like your adrenals are taxed, right? From whatever it is, reishi or any other adaptogen can kind of help balance that out. It's also going to help, you know, um, relieve or start to repair any damage that may have been done to tissue and organ systems while you were in stress. So adaptogens are beautiful. They're really great to have around, and reishi is a really great example of one. A lot of people know this mushroom as the mushroom of immortality, and I really do think that there's something to it. In China, this was a highly regarded mushroom, and I mean, people there were like it was a privilege to have a reishi, back in the day, and it was said that, like, a lot of just, like, the royal families or the people who had money or status were the ones that would have, like, reishi art in their home, or if you were to find a reishi, it was like a blessing because at least that's what they say, that's what I've heard back in China in the day, and so back in the day. Yeah, so mushroom immortality, it's that vital life force. It's bringing all of that power that we need, helping our immune system, helping our adrenals, helping us function. It calms us down very well too. So it's just overall a thing of beauty, in my opinion. And typically, it will be growing on dead conifers or hemlock. That's what it typically likes to grow on. Interesting. One of the things Mario and I have noticed is that, it's funny that the mushrooms like to grow on the dead material. It's almost like they still find or they bring the life that's still there or something like that. It's really interesting. I always look at mushrooms too as like the DNA of the forest or something. And typically, mushrooms, specifically reishi, can help us rebuild and repair our own DNA. And so it was one of the things that I started really wondering about, when the whole, you know, crazy demic, whatever you want to call it, came around and they were talking about DNA stuff and oh my goodness. And I thought, whoa, we all need to be taking lots of mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms right now to be protecting ourselves. And I kind of want to see here um, what's going on. I wanted to go here to the spores. The spores shoot from the base, but cover the top. Ah, interesting. Cool. Thank you for that. That's awesome. I could see that. That makes sense. Very, very nice. I'm liking this. All right. Yes, so we have that. The thing, one of the identifiers with the reishi is going to be that varnishy, shiny color. And that's one of the things I kind of wanted to show you guys. So come away from this slide here. All right. So right here, this is a mushroom, or actually, it's not. Okay, here we go. So this is a red belted polypore. This is commonly mistaken for reishi. And one of the ways that you can tell it's not a reishi is because it doesn't have a tail. So you see here, this is the area where this polypore, it's not it's a polypore. So it's not technically a mushroom, it's a polypore. So this, you can see, this is where it was actually connected to the tree, and then this here is a dried reishi that I had found years ago, and it was like an old reishi. And so when they get old, they get darker in color. And so see how this has a tail and this one doesn't. Tail, no tail. That's one of the identifiers of a reishi. So you can be able to see the tail and the stem where it's coming from, and the red belted polypore does not have that. The red belted polypore is also much harder than the reishi, and they have a lot of the same properties though, just like a lot of the mushrooms and the lichens and all of those things that are related. They all have, the ability to stimulate the immune system and gather that vital life force and things like that, some more than others. I really wanted to show this though, because I've even, seen a red belted polypore and go, oh, reishi, just in passing. And then, but when you really look at it, it's definitely different. It does have the same type of underside as the reishi does though. And you can see that here. It's kind of smooth, and the little pores are on the underside. And so the thing with reishi though, the reishi will turn brown. If you rub on the underside of the reishi, it'll turn brown, and that's another way to identify a reishi versus the red belted polypore. We have tons of red belted polypore where we're at, way more than I've seen. I have not yet come across a reishi near our home, but lots of red belted polypore. All right. So I talked about the adaptogenic properties of that. Go back to the slideshow. And now, all right. So this is another type of reishi. And this one actually grows more in the Northeast, the Midwest, and the Appalachia section of the United States. So it's Sulje, I think is Suja. I think it's how you pronounce that second part of the Latin name of it. So again, we're a lot of the same properties, just different species. So if you're getting reishi from somewhere and it is a different variety or whatever, you're still going to be getting those same properties that all the reishis have, right? Um, it's one of the most therapeutic of the medicinal mushrooms, and it's really effective. So it's a protector and a replenisher of qi, which is the vital life force. That is the Chinese, tradition of how they would talk and explain the life force. It's a longevity tonic. It's an immune stimulant, cardiac strengthener, and a stress regulator. Again, that's that adaptogenic quality that's going on with it. It also can like help a person move through life with less fear and more confidence. And I think that that has something to do with that's like that can be associated with the Jupiter and Sagittarius energy as well, because how we were talking about, there's like this radiance from Jupiter and a radiance and this energetic exploring sort of energy with Sagittarius. And so if you're not feeling so hot, if you're not feeling confident, it's going to be harder for you to do stuff like that. So reishi could be a really good ally for somebody who is wanting to work on strengthening their self-confidence. So it stimulates an underactive immune system and it calms an overactive immune system. And this brings us into the three main active components or compounds of the reishi, which are triterpenes, polysaccharides, and lysozymes. So the polysaccharides are actually what will help stimulate the underactive immune system and calm an overactive immune system. And the polysaccharides are actually the most abundant of the three, and they are the water soluble components of this mushroom. And so that's one of the things that I'll also talk about is the importance of finding extracts that are made in the way of what's called a double extraction. So that's where they are usually boiled or simmered in water, and then they're tinctured in alcohol. And then those two solutions are combined. They combine those two solutions, and then you have a double extract. And that's how you're going to be able to get all of the properties of this mushroom because the triterpenes and the lysozymes are actually the alcohol soluble properties of the mushroom. So when you're getting all of those, you're just getting all the benefits of it. So it's really important that if you are going to buy any type of medicinal mushroom extract to ask the person or check on the label if it's a double extract, and also especially if you're buying dried powdered mushrooms, you want to find out if they were at least like steamed or and then dried and ground because it will the water can then be like activate the some of the properties a little bit better. And I know that there are companies that will specify that they've done that. And I know that you probably can just get the powder and then add it to water and then it would be, activated, but you're not going to be getting the full properties in my opinion because then you're not going to be getting the triterpenes and the lysozymes, but you're still going to be getting the benefits. But it's just something to think about. I'm not a total like stickler on that, but it is something that I pay attention to. And when I'm making reishi extract, I definitely am doing the double extract because I just think it's the most beneficial way to get the medicine. And isn't that the whole point? You want to get like the most medicine you can get so you can give it to the people. That's how I look at it. So the polysaccharides, they also are responsible for helping to boost white blood cell production and they increase cytokines. So I know that there was a big scare with the cytokine storm during the vid and they were telling people to not take elderberry syrup because it can cause a cytokine storm. And I'm not trying to get controversial here, but not that that's not possible to happen, but the cytokines actually are what protect the cell. So that's the whole thing. From all my research I've done on it, that they'll protect the cell so that if there is something foreign that could enter the cell wall, the cytokines kind of almost like create like a barrier around that. And elderberry does the same thing. I'm not an expert on this, but it's just from what I've looked into. I'm not an expert on cytokine storms either, but it is one of the things that the polysaccharides will help the body to just boost that up. Um, that's where the immune system stimulation or destimulation comes in. So the triterpenes is where we get the adaptogenic properties of the mushroom from, and which that's like I said earlier, just helping to diminish any effects of stress on the organ systems, and it's what really brings the balance to the body and the mind. So I mentioned earlier how reishi can be a calming ally, and it can just like when taken over time you will start to notice yourself calming down a bit. Maybe you have just an overactive mind or you just like can't relax sort of thing. Reishi mushroom isn't something where you would take it instantly and feel calm. It's just something that you take over time and it will actually start to build that up for you. And so the lysozymes, they are what provide more of the antibacterial, maybe antifungal, antiviral, if we want to go that route, properties. Now, I'm not a hardcore terrain theorist. I'm not a hardcore germ theorist. I just think that it is literally a combination of a bunch of things going on, emotions all included, um, in all this stuff. So I don't claim to be either, but I think that all of it there's something going on with all of it. And so these mushrooms can help protect from any kind of like bacterial infections and things like that that might be going on. So over in the chat, Tippy Canoe, do you have a preference on which extract to perform first? I've done the alcohol first. Not sure if that's the best or if that matters. What about you? Do you have a preference? Because I'd love to know. I have thought of that before. I've seen people do the water first and then they do the alcohol. And so I wonder sometimes if you do the alcohol first, is there any risk of reducing the potency of the other components? I'm not sure, but maybe you know. If you do know, I'd love to hear what you have to say. All right. Oh, what's up, Slick? Hello. Thank you for coming, my man. All right. Yes. Okay. So you do the alcohol first. Okay. Cool. That's just intuitively when I first started making it. That's what, okay. And so does James. All right. All right. So my gut led me to the, uh, to the right thing. All right. Polysaccharides are more heat stable. Okay. Yes. Awesome. Cool. This is great to know. So it's good to have the confirmation. That's why I love this. I'm so excited to be doing this. I just need to stop and say I'm just so stoked. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in and is tuning in right now. So many of you have been my inspiration for actually doing this show and going for it and taking this step, because this is one of the things I love learning. I love teaching. And when you do both of those, you're learning and teaching and learning all at the same time. So, yeah, like I just always try and say too is like, just prefacing that I'm not an expert and I'm not trying to claim to be an expert or anything. And I know that, we can all learn from each other. So it's one of the most beautiful things about all this stuff. All right. And so, lastly, I wanted to show just a few photos. Now, like I said earlier, there's 16 different species of reishi in North America. So, I wasn't about to do all 16, but I just wanted to just show a really quick few of them to show the differences. And they're all beautiful and they all have the same radiating energy to me. And that's one of the things that's just so captivating about this mushroom to me, and they're so grounding. It just feels so grounding to even look at them. So first we have the Ganoderma organense, which I've been talking about as the West Coast reishi, and that's the one that I have most experience with working with. And one of the things too that I wanted to point out, if you see the white ring that is furthest out on the mushroom, it's the first thing that actually, comes out of the wood when it's being produced. That portion of the mushroom is edible. So you can actually, score that off. It'd be more, I think, in my opinion, a survival food because, you'd have to harvest quite a bit to get like a meal. But it actually, I've eaten it. And I honestly kind of had like a trippy experience when I did it. We were in the woods with some friends of ours and we found one. And I was like, oh, we can eat the white part. And then our buddy just like scored it a little bit off of that white section and put it in our mouths. And it did. I had sort of almost like a mushroomy, like psychedelic experience, not hardcore, but just kind of feeling like, whoa, it was really powerful and potent. And it was when it was really young. But that the texture of the white part it's like kind of spongy, and so I could see how you could if you were to fry that up and cook it, it would probably be pretty good. Reishis are quite bitter, so it's not like it'd be the most pleasant thing to be eating. But like I said, it would be a survival food, and the rest of the mushroom is super woody and hard for the most part. So it's like when you're harvesting reishi at least in my experience, I try and get them home from the forest within like a 3-hour period, because if you go past that, you will be able to cut them, but it just gets harder and harder and harder to cut them. And so you need a really sharp knife, and you want to just like cut them into thin slices, and then I dry them in a dehydrator, or you can tincture it fresh. You can also dry it and then tincture it. You could dry it and then powder it. There's lots of options with the medicinal mushrooms, and yeah, so it's pretty awesome. So this is the Gandoderma Sulja. I actually looked up how to pronounce it before the show because I wanted to make sure. But yeah, see, same structure, same white, on the outside there. That is also an edible portion, native to the Northeast, the Midwest, and the Appalachia Mountain area. So, pretty cool. And then we have the Gandoderma lucidium there on the right. Now, this is the original reishi. If you look into ancient Chinese medicine, this is the type of reishi that they're typically using. This is the type of reishi you will typically find if you're going to buy reishi from an herbal distributor. A lot of times it'll be the lucidium, and you can see that this one is actually being grown from like a spore bag. Probably that's how a lot of people actually cultivate these. Because I've heard too, even like doing research of them growing in China, it's kind of difficult to grow them sometimes. But I don't know, James, has that been your experience, or do you find that reishi are very easy to grow? So anyway, you can just see the different variations of colors. It's a little darker. It doesn't have as much of that yellow golden color to it, just more deep red, brown, but it still has that white outer ring. So they are forest food if you were in need. Um, and yeah, one of the things I learned about the reishi, specifically the lucidium, was that I said earlier how reishis were prized like in ancient China, and they were kind of looked at as a symbol of not wealth, but just basically kinda like royalty. And so there's a lot of ancient art, Chinese art that has reishi featured in them, and in the art, and there is like jewelry and little brooches and pins of reishi mushroom, and it was really prized. I mean, it was looked at as almost like a good luck charm in its own way, especially if you found one. So yeah, easy to grow from a grow kit, but lengthy fruiting time. Awesome, that's good to know. Sounds delicious. I love cauliflower. Nice. Yes, and somebody was cauliflower mushroom, tasted like cauliflower. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of wild mushrooms out here for sure, and, always coming across them. It's really nice, it's really cool. So, that's my little spiel on reishi. I just wanna look over my notes really quick to make sure. Oh, also, one of the things about reishi, it can inhibit, histamine production, so you can actually use it to help with seasonal allergies. So that's another thing to keep in mind for people who have issues with seasonal allergies that come around. Um, and yes, so one of the things, also reishi, I pair reishi with elderberry. I have an elderberry and reishi mushroom syrup that I make, which is actually my offering for the month for this past moon, and it pairs so well with the elderberry. So if you're trying to create somewhat of a powerhouse in terms of protection and stimulating the immune system, getting the fluids going, because elderberry is really great at moving stagnation. We all know it as, a stimulator of the immune system. It protects you. So both of those herbs have that cytokine production attribute to them. So you are really protected when you're using these two together. And I find that they make a lovely pairing. It would be a great tincture as well, I think, but I like using it in the syrup. And yeah, so that is about what I've got for you guys. And so I really am stoked to have shared all this stuff with you. And I'm really happy to see that there were some people that came out. I'm super happy to be starting this podcast. Moving forward, I'm going to be having guests on, so it's not always just going to be a solo show, but for my first one, I wanted to dip my toes in, get the feel for it, really just kind of get comfortable. So thanks for bearing with me if anything was awkward or anything like that. I'm still learning how to just like, not concentrate too much on the chat, but also acknowledging and looking at notes and this and that and making sure everything is dialed in and what have you. And I just realized that I do have another slide here that I wanted to talk about. And I just wanted to go over what I have right now because a lot of people who know me, a lot of people who follow me know that I'm a maker. So I love to make things. I love formulating products. I love sharing products. I love teaching people how to make things. So I wanted to just throw this slide up there. With no pressure, but I just wanted to talk about the things that I have available right now. So if people out there are interested and they want to know, yes, then we can talk about that. What's up, Rachel? Yay. Hello. Thank you for coming. Um, yeah, you're welcome, Nicholas. Thank you so much for coming along and listening. And I'm excited to share more. And I'm excited to bring on more people who have knowledge to share as well. Because, like I said in the beginning, that's one of my main things. I just really have fallen in love with the community of people that we've found through the spiders, through Interverse. You guys have inspired me so much. I just cannot stress that enough. And I'm inspired every day by you guys just to be a better person and level up my game and share more and learn more. So, with all that said, these are the products that I have currently, and I'll just run through them, but you can also read the screen if you like. So I've got my elderberry and reishi syrup that is available. I have reishi mushroom double extract tincture. I have a CBD and St. John's wort massage and body oil, antifungal and wound healing salve, which is if you're needing something for first aid, like it is seriously, I've been making that salve since I began studying herbalism and working with products. I'm making products. So it's been almost a decade that I've been on this journey, and that salve is one of the tried and true things that I've been making the whole time, and it's helped a lot of people. I know the Baldersons actually used it on their dog who was attacked, and they had some really great success, which was really awesome to see. So, yeah, that's great, and it's just a wonderful salve. It works, oh, man, I have a lot of stories. I should just have, like, a story testimonial thing on that salve, but anyway. So I have my black pulling salve available, which is really great for bee stings and pulling things from the skin. I've had success taking, splinters out of my finger using it. A buddy of ours was on a summer-long van tour, and, I gave him some of that salve before he left, and he got stung by a jellyfish, and he said that he put the black pulling salve on, and within minutes, the sting was gone. He didn't know what else to do, but he just put that salve on there, and he said that it really took the sting away, and then he didn't have any issues. Another friend of ours was stung by a scorpion out here. She applied the black salve, and within about 5 minutes after she was stung by the scorpion, the sting was going away, and she didn't really experience anything after that. I've used it on bee stings. I would say it helps with the bee sting initially, and sometimes you'll need to like reapply it. If you don't catch it fast enough, it might not work as well, but it's a lovely salve to have around. I've got some deodorant. I have a lavender, bergamot, and juniper cedarwood that I've got. Rest Easy tincture and anointing oil set, which is a tincture that actually I have right here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is a blend of motherwort, blue vervain, and hops, and it's lovely. It's all made with fresh herbs as well. And the anointing oil is a fresh lavender anointing oil that really captured the scent of the fresh lavender really well. And then I also have fresh herb tinctures available in 1 ounce sizes: mugwort, motherwort, St. John's wort, blue vervain, and lemon balm. And that is what I wanted to also share with you guys. Like I said, no pressure, not trying to be like a saleswoman or whatever, but I get a lot of people asking me what I have available at a certain time. And so I just wanted to share that because, yeah, it was a streamlined way. And then one other thing that I've been working on. So I said in the beginning of the broadcast that I've been making a CBD whipped butter for my friend who has an ashiatsu massage practice. And with that, I've been making that for her for since the summer. And so I've been like wanting to formulate my own product kind of based on that, but a little different. And so this is my CBD, I call it my CBD whip. And so I'm kind of still in the testing phase, but I just made a batch that I actually am really happy with. So if anybody wants to get a jar of the CBD whip, you can get a hold of me because I have about 5 jars that are available. It might not be the final version of this, but it's a version I'm really happy with, and I feel confident enough to be sharing it. So if you were to order it and then you would order it again, I can't guarantee that it'll be like the same like scent or whatever because I'm still working with certain things. But I'm happy to share it with people who are wanting it. And it's really great for the winter because it's just really thick and it's very softening to the skin. The CBD is really, really nice in it. I slathered myself with it last night and went to bed and I was like, "Oh yeah, this works." And there's some like clove essential oil in there and frankincense. So there's some extra pain relieving properties in there with that. And yes, I think that is what I've got going on. I will be having soap very soon. It has to cure. Just made 3 different soaps. I made my salt soap, my calendula salt soap. So back on the calendula tip there, I made a shampoo bar that I added pine resin oil to this time to help with like dandruff and any kind of flakiness or like psoriasis on the scalp. And I also made my very near and dear oat and honey soap. So those will be ready to go out in about 3 to 4 weeks. And yes, I think that's it. I went for about an hour, wasn't sure how long I was gonna go, and yes, Jim, I'm live. Yes, and that's the other thing with this show. I'm going live, baby. We're going live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. And I really love the idea. Oh, there's one more slide. Thank you, babe. Thank you, thank you. See, look at what a guy. What a team. And yes, so here is my Instagram where you can find me at Michelle's Healing Home. Website is michelleshealinghome.com. And you can also text me. So I have it's like a Google Voice number. And so I can get it to my phone. And I think a lot of people just like texting. Mario had some pretty good success putting out a number for his tarot readings and stuff. And so we figure we would try that with me as well. I also offer consultations. So my consultations are a little different than like I'm not quite a clinical or I don't do really like super in-depth health consultations. If you had certain questions about like things that you might be experiencing, I'm more than happy to work with you on that. But my specialty is not like a clinical herbalist where I know I haven't like studied like the systems of the body very intricately or anything. So I'm more comfortable in the way of say for example, you're having maybe issues with your skin or you're wanting to clear something up that has been ailing you for a while. I can usually help people with that. And I really love teaching people how to make things. So that's one of my ways of using my consultation skills is to actually like we could like literally have a call where we go through the process of making certain things, and I can share recipes with you and the oils, that I like to use or herbs that I like to use for whatever that is. I love doing herbal meditation, so that would be another like example of a consultation. I can go through my methods for doing herbal meditations and share with you the ways that I've gone like actually like into the herb to learn more about the herb, and the messages that I've gotten from the herb. So I really love to just channel the energy of plants. It's one of my stronger suits, I find. I don't talk about it as often, but that is another thing that I'll probably be talking about more on the podcast and want to talk with other people about, because it is one of the things that I find that I have a knack for. And that could be a consultation. If you're wanting to maybe learn how to do that, I have a couple methods that tried and true things that I find are really great ways to communicate with the plants. So anyway, if you want to know more about that stuff, though, specifically, you can go to my website and I have a video on all the offerings that I have for consultations. And other than that, yeah, I'm also on Telegram. You can find me there. So thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out and sharing your knowledge and supporting. It feels really good to just be able to hang out and do this. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking through my first broadcast. Herky jerky at certain points, maybe not. But yes, thank you so much. Happy first day of Sagittarius. And again, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a really great evening. Thank you, PK. All righty. Adios. Oh, wait, before we go, sorry. See, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, next week I have James from Grounded Extracts on. So I am very, very stoked about this conversation with James, because I was able to be on Vibrant with him in September, and I was just so fell in love with our conversation that we had, and I really wanted to continue talking to him. And I actually came across his work. I think it was last year I saw him on Odin's Alchemy, and I was like, "Whoa, awesome. This guy is doing the work." And him and his wife have some really great things going on with Grounded Extracts. So I will have him on next week at 4 p.m., same place, and we will be going live again. So I hope to see you there. Thank you again, and have a really great night. Much love to you all. Bye bye.